got it.
Yeah, you won't be on that. How's that?
Yes, that's good. Oh, like 175 for 2 days. That's pretty good. Are we doing on time, Becca?
Go down on this one too? Very good.
You all set? Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us. Today I'm pleased to be joined by our County Supervisor Chairman, Greg Cox, as well as a local East Village business owner, Artem Shiroskin, who is making plans to safely reopen his business when it is allowed. But first, before I start today's briefing, just a few comments about a great San Diegan, Paul Jablonski. Many of us throughout the region were saddened by Paul's sudden passing over the weekend. Paul was just a man of great kindness, great perseverance, phenomenal personality, who really was a statewide and national leader when it came to transportation and the great work of MTS under his leadership and his stewardship. Paul made a lasting mark on our entire San Diego County region, and I just wanted to let everybody know he's going to be missed so very, very much. Today I'd like to provide a few updates. First, and Supervisor Cox and I will get to that, urging the governor to reconsider his plans on when we open California's economy. Second, a public safety reminder. And lastly, I'll be highlighting the work that San Diegans continue to do to help everybody step up and assist folks throughout the region. But topic number one, urging the governor to reconsider plans for how we reopen California's economy. Today, Supervisor Cox and I sent a letter to the governor, and the message was very simple. San Diego is ready to safely and strategically reopen. And we urge the governor to give our region the flexibility to do so. Workers are ready to start collecting a paycheck again. Businesses are ready to safely reopen their doors. And customers are ready to follow public safety health orders. Now, businesses know how that they're going to approach this new normal, but they need to know the when. So today, Supervisor Cox and I, we are urging the governor to provide counties more local control to safely reopen, particularly like counties like San Diego, where we have made meaningful and sustained progress on COVID-19. Last week, of course, the governor announced some very strict requirements if counties wanted to safely reopen faster. As I mentioned last Friday in my Friday update, these are very strict requirements, so strict that 95% of Californians live in counties that cannot meet these standards, according to the Los Angeles Times, including 0 deaths over a 14-day period. Under these standards, it would be a very long time until many parts of our economy are allowed to safely reopen. If left in effect, the state's requirements could keep many businesses shut down indefinitely. So we are not asking the state to change the science. We are asking for the state to change its restrictions. San Diego County has worked very hard, particularly over the last several weeks, to develop safe plans to reopening that protects employees and workers and customers. And this plan covers many parts of the economy, including those businesses that are currently closed, like gyms, barbershops, and salons. This is not a plan for businesses to return to normal. It's a plan for how businesses need to operate in the new normal, with physical distancing, sanitation, and limited occupancy. It will help business owners, one of which we're going to hear from in a moment, open the doors in a realistic time frame that is responsible and that is safe. The current approach, as we have seen over the last several weeks, has been confusing and frustrating to many. The unemployment numbers continue to rise to historic levels, and every day, unfortunately, more and more San Diegans are struggling to make ends meet. We need to see that there is light at the end of this tunnel. San Diego is ready to help lead the way for a successful reopening. So we're urging the state to reconsider these requirements so our region can safely move forward. Again, our focus is on the region because we move best when we move together. So now I'd like to welcome our chair of the County Board of Supervisors, Chairman Greg Cox, to come up and say a few words. And Chairman Cox, I appreciate all of your leadership and support, all of the work that we are doing to keep San Diegans safe, and all the work that we are doing to safely reopen our economy. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and I'm very glad to be here with you today to talk about our continuing efforts to reopen our local economy. Earlier today, as was mentioned, the Mayor and I signed a letter to Governor Newsom asking him to take a broad look at each region as he considers allowing the reopening of businesses. You know, I was fortunate to serve as the president of the National Association of Counties last year, and in that role I got to visit a number of counties across the United States, and I can tell you firsthand that if you've been to one county, you've been to one county. Each of them is different and unique in the way that they deal with problems and issues. And what we're asking the governor to do is to keep that in consideration, as no two counties are alike in California. In San Diego County, our public health team has done, I think, an incredible job in managing this pandemic and preventing our hospitals from being overwhelmed. As a result, we have gradually been reopening our civic life and institutions, from beaches to parks to some businesses. We have a long way to go to get to any kind of new normal. We know this disease is still out there and it's still causing deaths and hospitalizations. But we believe that we are trending certainly in the right direction, and we need to start considering that as we look at reopening. And we realize it's going to be a phased reopening. That's why Mayor Faulconer and I created the Recover Task Force of business owners and experts to guide us on reopening. And that's why the county created a framework for businesses to follow to reopen their doors. You know, I admire the governor and the work that he's been doing, but I think the standard he set last week to allow no businesses to reopen unless counties have gone 2 weeks without any deaths is unrealistic in any urban county. I can tell you that in 2018, the county of San Diego tragically had 341 deaths from influenza. That's almost one a day. And that's with a disease that is treatable, that has vaccinations that can help lessen the impact or prevent the impact of influenza. So no deaths in 14 days from COVID-19, I think, is an unrealistic standard. And I know the governor has a tough job. We hope that he's going to take another look at that. We know he's got some other guidelines coming up in the next couple of days. We certainly want to work with him in a cooperative vein, but we need to have standards that are attainable and that will allow us to reopen in a phased manner the businesses in San Diego County. Those are important businesses for jobs, for our local economy, and we certainly don't want to risk the public health, but at the same time, I think we need to balance that with a phased reopening that hopefully can be accommodated by the governor, and we look forward to working with him in a very cooperative vein. So with that, I want to say, Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to say a few words today. We certainly have been speaking with one voice, and I hope that's going to continue to happen. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Supervisor, and thank you to all of the members of the Board of Supervisors, and particularly our County Public Health team and doctors who've been doing a remarkable job for our region. I know there are a lot of small business owners in San Diego who are ready to reopen in a very safe and responsible way. They've been preparing these last several weeks. They've put together safety plans and protocols that best suit their industry. One of those owners is joining us today, happens to be a board member of the East Village Association here in downtown San Diego. It's my pleasure to introduce a local sport and fitness club owner, Artem Shiroskin. Artem, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mayor, Supervisor Cox. Thank you for everything you've been doing. A big fan of your work. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Boxing Club Sport and Fitness gym that we own. We own 3 locations here in San Diego and have 86 employees. As well as we're speaking on behalf of San Diego fitness industry. We are looking forward to reopening, of course. We're patiently waiting, and so far we've been putting together some guidelines of our own to make sure that we provide safety and security, of course, for our members and our staff, but more importantly, the guidelines that are realistic that we can follow and make sure that our business stays operational and profitable. So some of the guidelines that we're proposing are some of the basic common sense guidelines that, such as temperature checks at the check-in, to limiting our occupancy rates, as well as limiting some of the class occupancy for the group fitness, limiting any person-to-person contact. We are limiting even occupancy in our locker rooms and changing rooms. We are providing rental equipment that is going to be sanitized. We are going to try to avoid most of the shared equipment. And these are just some of the basic examples of some of the protocols that we're changing. And I think the first step for us as a company is to educate our staff and our members on what the new normal is going to look like at the boxing club, at our gyms. And the new normal is not going to be the same. So we're going to set a set of guidelines to our members, and that is going to go over some of the basic policies and procedures, and they can have certain expectations for when they come back. Again, the new normal is not going to be the same, but we've been actively working and improving on all of those plans. I think that the important part here is for us to, again, set the guidelines that provide safety and security for our members, but also, again, realistically allow us to operate and still be profitable. And I'm sure a lot of other gyms can agree on that. And I think fitness has been more important than ever. Your physical fitness as well as your mental fitness is really important. So we can not wait to reopen and work closely with the local government on setting those guidelines and reopening. I really appreciate you having me here, and thank you.
Thank you, Artem. Thank you for you and all of your employees and everybody in the fitness industry here in San Diego. Topic number 2 today, just a quick public safety reminder. Our county and our region continues to do a very good job, but now is not the time to take our foot off the gas pedal. The vast majority of San Diegans, thank you. You're continuing to do the right thing. You're wearing your facial coverings when you're outside. You're practicing physical distancing. There still are a few folks, however, that aren't being as responsible, so this is a reminder that the rules have been put in place by our county public health officials to help protect us all, and it's incredibly important that you follow them. Let's continue to do our part. Let's show a region that knows how to do it, because the only way that we get to reopen our economy is by showing the rest of the state that San Diego continues to lead by example. As I said before, thank you. It's incredibly important, more so now than ever, that we keep it up, particularly as we were talking about opening more businesses across our county. So I'll repeat some basics. I'm going to keep repeating to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with warm soap and water, to practice that physical distancing. And if you leave your place, you must cover your face. Finally, our continued efforts, topic number 3, to highlight San Diegans who are stepping up in this very great time of need. Today I'd like to highlight a few San Diegans that are helping our community right now. Members of the Rock Church are helping out by retrofitting expired personal protection equipment, or PPE. What most of us don't know is that the rubber on the elastic of the N95 mask can expire. It can get too brittle and not work, making the mask unusable for our hospital workers. So the congregation at the Rock Church stepped up. They set a goal of retrofitting 300,000 N95 masks with new elastic. And 6 weeks later, you can see by some of the pictures, they are 85% of the way to their goal. I'll tell you, over 4,000 San Diegans have come together to restore over $1.2 million worth of PPE for our frontline workers. And as we continue to fight against this very aggressive virus, PPE is just as important as ever. In fact, I stopped by earlier today to thank the volunteers and share how proud of we all of them, and to urge them to keep up the good work. So a special shout out again to everybody, Pastor Miles McPherson, and everybody at the Rock Church, to see all of the volunteers there this morning. They've been there for weeks, to see how fast they're able to do it, how efficient. You're doing a great job protecting our frontline workers. So thank you. You're representing the best of our community coming together. If you happen to see a San Diegan stepping up, share it with us and use the hashtag San Diego Steps Up. Thank you. I appreciate, again, County Supervisor Cox, our continued efforts to work together as one region and to work together safely. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
And today's first question comes from Laura Acevedo with 10 News.
Hello, Laura.
Hi, Mayor. Thank you for taking my question. So I wanted to know if you could specify how the local, county, and city plan would be different from the governor's plan. Like, what would be an acceptable daily infection rate, daily death rate? And are you concerned at all about losing your disaster aid if you move forward with your individual plans?
Yeah, no, thank you for the question. And I think, and Supervisor Cox got to this earlier, the framework that the county has put together, and that was informed by a lot of the great work from the Recovery Task Force, Economic Recovery Task Force, takes some pretty specific protocols and procedures for a variety of industries, and then some that are industry specific. Restaurants comes to mind. And so when you overlay that with the incredible job that our county public health and our hospitals are doing, the preparations, the increase in terms of testing, contact tracers that are being hired, the preparation in all of our hospitals, it really overlays together. And what we are saying is this can work in San Diego County because, as Supervisor Cox talked about, every county is going to be different. And so the precautions that we have been taking, the procedures that we are ready to go, we've said very clearly, give us the flexibility to put this into place. I will tell you that when you look at what San Diegans have done by following the rules that we put in place when we opened neighborhood parks, when we have reopened businesses with a phased plan developed by our lifeguards and public health officials. We have similar plans for businesses. We're ready to go. I think San Diegans are ready to do the right thing, and that's why this county framework that we've worked so hard on is ready to go.
And the next question comes from Kasia Gregorczyk with Fox 5.
Hello, Kasia. Know if we can hear Kasia?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay, wonderful. Sorry, the mute button can be a little tricky. Thank you so much for taking my question as well. Kind of similar to Laura, if you could just maybe specify a little bit more. I know, for example, gyms and nail salons and hair salons by the governor's standards are way down in phase 3. Are you kind of proposing maybe pushing up that timeline here in San Diego County for those specific industries?
Yeah, we particularly when it comes to restaurants, gyms, just to name a few, you know, the work that's been done to talk about here's what the new normal will be. Remember, we're not talking to go back to business the way it used to be. We're talking about all the things that we're talking about in terms of what it takes to actually get in, the temperature checks, the masks, the physical distancing, the plexiglass. All of this is going to be a new normal. And all of these procedures have been put into place. You've seen similar things that have worked in our grocery stores as an example. And so we are saying give counties the flexibility to develop that timeline that makes sense for the preparations that we've been doing and the work that we have been doing in San Diego County helping to flatten the curve. San Diegans have put a lot of hard work into this across the region, listening to these. We want that to continue. It has to continue because as we've also talked about, we cannot and we will not give back all of the gains that we have made. So it is all about the new normal. It's about continuing to take all of these new policies, these cautions, procedures, take them to heart, doing the right thing. We have done that. We're going to continue to do that in a manner that is safe and responsible. And again, all of this is by us working together with our county health officials. We put a lot of work into these plans, and San Diegans are ready to put them into place.
And the next question comes from Lindsay Winkley with the Union Tribune.
Hello, Lindsay.
Hi, Mayor. Hello, Supervisor Cox. So I'm looking for a bit of clarification, I think. It was my understanding that these variance metrics applied only to counties who wanted to move faster than the state, but that they wouldn't necessarily need to be met for counties that intended to progress, in lockstep with California as it moves through its phased plan. So is it your understanding that counties would need to meet these variance metrics before moving on to the next part of phase 2, when the state decides to do so?
Yeah, no, great question. Thank you. And what we were asking for is some clarification and allow us to help set some of those timelines here locally, because each county is going to be different. And again, the work that we have done as a county and the framework that was adopted by the Board of Supervisors, adopted unanimously, was the right approach. The work on the Economic Recovery Task Force that said, here are all of the new things that we should be doing to safely open businesses was the right approach. The work that the county has been doing on increasing testing, increasing contact tracing, that's the right approach. And so we're saying very clearly in one united voice, we want to be able to do this safely. We've demonstrated that San Diegans take these precautions seriously. Look at the work we've done on the beaches and the parks. Let's take these now to the next levels. We have small businesses that need to reopen and that need to reopen safely. We have provided the framework in San Diego County that says we're ready to do it. Let's do it safely. Let's do it in combination with our county public health officials. Let's meet this new normal, and let's show the rest of the state how we can do it in San Diego. Thank you. I thank all the members of the media. Thank you for your questions today. Supervisor Cox, all of the County Board of Supervisors, thank you. Artem, all of our small businesses, thank you for doing what you're doing. We are going to continue to move forward together as one region that I'm very, very proud of. Remember to follow all of the policies and procedures, particularly when it comes to that physical distancing. Let's keep up the good work, San Diego. Thank you.